let's hit the Cowboys here so we can make sure Chris doesn't stay up too late and has to be up at 2 in the morning. So Cowboys came in, fantasy scoring-wise, they were pretty middle of the pack. Quarterback 13th, 16th for running backs, 21st wide receivers, 17th tight ends. They have lost Jason Witten and Dez, though, so that receiving game should be a bit of an issue, but no Zeke getting hit to suspension, we assume. We'll see what happens. So what do you guys?
August.
Let's start it off here with somebody who I'm sure will not be divisive at all, and let's talk about Dak Prescott.
I'll start, I guess. Dak Prescott has good floor and no upside, in my opinion. It's Zeke's team. It's going to run through Zeke. The volume's not going to be there for Dak to be a major player as a passer. What's going to save him is his legs. The rushing yards are going to help his upside a little bit. So I just don't see him being a top option.
Yeah, for me, he's my QB 20. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that. Right now, he's going at the 1302, so the value is there for he's going at streamer position. He has no one to fucking throw to, though. He lost Dez. He's got one piece that's there from that he's felt comfortable with that's probably going to be on that roster and have some sort of role, and that's Cole Beasley, because I don't think Terrence Williams is going to mean anything. He's had 6 rushing touchdowns the last 2 seasons, which is good. Each. So he's got that upside to him, but just as Hopper said, this is a massive run-first team, and the fact he's got no weapons there, I have very little faith in him as any sort of an upside quarterback.
Chris?
Yep, totally agree. It's like you said, a run-first team and a team that's not very good. I just don't see them winning a whole lot of games like some people seem to predict. Just looking at this depth chart you guys have nicely posted on the doc, it is not very pleasant to look at. It's just not fun. I just don't see the production coming, especially for Dak. Like he said, QB 20, I'd much rather have Eli this year.
Yep.
I mean, I'd view them differently. I think Dak is going to be safer and is more likely to get you some floor week to week, and he won't give you an imploding, like, negative 2-point game like Eli does from time to time.
He had one last year that was negative.
He did have one, yes, but that was with no Tyron Smith and no Zeke.
I mean, I put that in my notes. I think with that 3-game stretch last year really opened my eyes to why I don't like Zeke, or not Zeke, but like Dak super long term. But it's how low is his floor? He's going to be a floor guy, yes, with rushing, but I mean, how low that's going to be? Like, he's going to be like Kaiser, because Dak's pretty safe with the football, but where is he going to get touchdowns? And that's kind of where this
saw what happened when Zeke and Tyron Smith were out, and those are the 2 best players on the team, literally the 2 best players on the Cowboys. And without that, Dak was not good.
And I'm not that shocked that he struggled, but I do like him a little bit better. He's my 17, but he's right in that mess tier.
I was going to say, I thought maybe you're a little bit higher on him than.
No, it's.
That bad.
I mean, the issue is that just as you guys have touched on, he has nobody to throw for. He has the worst tight end core in the league, and that's saying something. Because there's a lot of bad tight end.
He may have the worst receiving core in too.
I'd say probably second worst. The only one I'd take theirs over would probably be the Bills.
Yeah, maybe. Well, the Dolphins are pretty bad too, but
I would take the Dolphins over theirs, no question. Stills and Parker for sure. Hearns is okay, but he's a 2 or a 3. I like Gallup, but he's a rookie who's coming out of a not a Power 5 school. He was a 3rd-round draft pick, so I like him to develop there, and he should get some targets. But it's just going to be tough for Prescott this year. I'm going to try to pair him in situations where I wait on quarterback, and I've got some deeper rosters, so I can have 2 quarterbacks. So maybe grab like a Dak and a Matt Ryan or something like that. And if this works out with his legs, he could be a QB1 again. If it doesn't, I'll cut him and find somebody else.
And that's my point. I'm not going to draft Dak. Dak in my notes is he's one of my biggest avoids this year. Don't draft him. Let someone else draft him, get pissed off, and then drop him, and then you can pick him up for free.
I mean, if I do draft him, it'll be very, very late.
Yeah, no, I get it.
All right, let's move on to running back here. Where do you guys have Ezekiel Elliott here?
He's my RB4. His ADP is a 104. The only reason he's not higher than Johnson or Gurley or Bell is because of his. He doesn't have the same pass catching upside. But I do project Zeke to not only he's going to lead the league in carries. He's going to lead the league in rushing. He will win the rushing title this year. I'm pretty confident in that. I think what we could see from him is 2014 DeMarco Murray, where he led the league in carries. He led the league in yards. And he had, I think, 13 touchdowns, and he had just enough in the passing game to give him that super high finish that he had. And that's where I think Zeke is. Extremely safe, Probably going to have one of the highest points per game, but you may not have the pass catching upside to give him those Todd Gurley like or David Johnson like games.
Chris?
So I just wanted to throw in there, I'm sorry, that I was going to say, I tell people this all the time, if the Cowboys want to win some games, then Ezekiel Elliott better figure out how to catch the ball.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So I think I see a slight uptick in his passing volume. I would say 30 to 40 receptions, not out of the realm of possibility.
I mean, he was on pace for that last year before the suspension, so I would be very surprised if he didn't hit the 30 to 40 range. He's actually my running back 1 this year. I'm very excited for him. I just think what we saw to him on a points per game basis last year before Gurley's explosion puts him in a great situation this season, and they're going to have to run the offense through him or this team is not going to win any games.
I mean, I put down potentially 64 targets, 57 receptions, and 400 or so yards. I mean, that was Murray's stat line that 2014 season, and I think that could be right around the same for Zeke.
All right. Any interest in terms of dynasty here, looking at Rod Smith or Bo Scarborough?
I have actually 2 dynasty teams. I'm not lying to you. 2 dynasty teams where I have Rod Smith, Bo Scarborough, and Tavon Austin all rostered because on MFL, Tavon Austin is listed as a running back now.
I think a few leagues he's listed that way now.
Yeah,
yes,
on MFL, my fantasy league, he's in there as a running back because that's what the coaches had initially said they brought him in to be. So that's what he's listed as. And like I said, I have 2 dynasty teams where I have all 3 of them. I'm hoping there's a little bit more clarity come closer to the season. I like Rod Smith the best out of those. If Zeke were to get hurt, I'd probably want Rod Smith because he can catch the ball and he's explosive like we saw last year. He had 1 or 2 games where he had just ridiculously long touchdowns, like 25, 30-point games. So that's the guy I want.
I was a big Scarborough fan coming in, but I hated the landing spot, and I hated that he slipped down to the, 7th round before he got drafted.
Yeah.
So that kind of tempered my feelings on him a little bit, but he'd probably be the in between the tackles guy, and he's also not a bad pass catcher, so they may give him a crack at it before they completely hand the job to Rod Smith. So Scarborough's at least worth a kick in the tires a little bit if something did happen to Zeke.
I actually like Scarborough more than Rod Smith. Rod Smith, yards credit per carry 1.04, 122nd in the league. He needs big holes. Thankfully, his offensive line top 5 in the league. But as you just said, Nick, Bo Scarborough is more of the in-between tackles guy. So if something happens to Zeke, I think Bo has a chance to take that RB2 spot. Whereas Rod Smith needs big plays to be relevant. Because we saw last year, outside of those big plays, he couldn't beat out fucking Alfred Morris, for God's sakes.
Hey now.
I know. I like him from back in those days too, but
the thing you say about Alfred Morris is like he's always been productive when given
that's true.
shots.
He is.
Every time he's been given a shot, he's been productive. I feel bad for him because he's one of my favorite players ever, honestly. And after his contract ran out, we just weren't going to pay him big money.
Yeah.
Nobody did, and his career is probably done. I don't even think he's on a roster.
He's not.
He's not.
He's a good player.
All right, let's move on to this receiving core real fast. Hearns, Gallup, Terrence Williams, Deontay Thompson, Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown are the main names I highlighted here. Anybody interest you out of that group?
I mean, Gallup, for obvious reasons. I've covered my like for Michael Gallup extensive in Dynasty. But as far as redraft goes, I think wide receiver 3 is realistic. Hearns probably in the same realm, but I don't see anybody on this receiving core being a top option. You do have 242 vacant targets, but I feel like those get pretty distributed pretty evenly between, Hearns, Gallup, and then Gathers or Swaim, whoever ends up as a tight end there.
I like Hearns if he can stay healthy. He's missed a lot of games. He's missed 11 games in the last 2 seasons. 1.71 target separation, 27th in the league. I like that for Dak. Dak doesn't like to take chances too much, and with his offense, he's not going to want him to, force the ball on the field. So I like Hearns. He's been getting a lot of hype if you even want to talk about it. But I like him as wide receiver 1, especially with Terrence Williams being an idiot.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know if Terrence Williams is going to be on this roster anymore.
I hope not. I've been hoping for that for a long time.
I was so pissed when they extended him.
Not good.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
I'm sorry. In Dynasty, I was just going to say the guy I have a few shares of is Noah Brown, and after they shipped Ryan Switzer off for some unknown reason to Oakland, he's a good little player, and Cole Beasley is an aspiring hip hop artist, I think.
He's good.
He's good. I like Beasley's rap.
You guys like what you like. I'm not judging too hard. But he'll probably fit into that slot when Cole Beasley's done. And he's a guy I'm stashing, not holding out a whole lot of hope for, but I'm just stashing.
Now, Noah Brown's a guy who last year when I watched him, I thought he would have benefited. I thought he could have been a high round draft pick if he had stayed at Ohio State, but he came out as a sophomore. But
especially with how weak this receiving class ended up being.
Yeah, he would have been awesome in this receiving class if he'd stayed at school, because he's a big bodied guy with all types of athletic talent, but he was so raw that I wish he would have stayed in longer. But I liked what was there from what I saw last year from him.
On the plus side too, he's 21, so
yeah, he's super young.
Yep. He's got time.
All right, and then slot wide receiver. I threw Austin here. I'm not sure if he's going to be the slot guy or the running back or what they're doing with him. So I put him here with Beasley. And then apparently Katie Cannon's there. I didn't even know. So
on his 8th team now?
Ninth team? This is Katie Cannon's 17th team.
Sounds like Tavon Austin's going to be the main pass catching running back. It's what they want him to be. It's what the early reports are, at least.
Okay.
That's all we need to talk about.
All right. And then just pick a guy out of tight ends. Who you putting money on and getting the targets?
Gathers.
None.
I honestly don't think it's Gathers at all. This coaching staff hates him.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know why. My money right now is on Swaim, but I don't have much interest.
My money's on Kobe Fleener when they bring him in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if Kobe Fleener shows up, I'm absolutely sold on that.
Who is still having concussion symptoms?
Right.
Don't draft. Don't even think about maybe in like deep 2 tight end leagues.
Yeah,
maybe
I guess
Swami.
If I had to put a bet on one, it'd be Blake Jarwin, but I don't even know why. I can't tell you why.
just like the name.
just to be different from everybody else.
Yep.
Dalton
I guess I'll
Schultz.
just take the shot on this guy.
All right.